Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. We're your home for world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is A Woman's Prerogative. By the way, please mark your calendars. This is our new day and time for A Woman's Prerogative. We used to call it part 2 because we have A Woman's Prerogative part 1, which is on Mondays. So if you are anywhere, I believe, except for Australia and New Zealand, we'll get clarification. It's on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's on Fridays in New Zealand and Australia. I don't know what time. We're going to find out from my colleague who's the star of our show. But so Thursdays in the US and Friday mornings outside if it's Australia or New Zealand. So I just want to give a big shout out and thanks to everybody who was with us for the reunion show. It was a huge success. And I can't tell you from my heart how much it means. Even this show, A Woman's Prerogative, this is one of our flagship shows that we've had since the beginning. And we've had a number of people who've come and gone, but this person backstage has been with me since the beginning, and she's been on this show since the beginning. So it just goes to show you that some things in life are timeless. Her name is Mariska du Preez, and she originally was in New Zealand, and now she's in Australia, and she is an FPCC certified coach. I hope I got those initials right. She's also a transformation and leadership wizard. I love saying that, wizard. And she and I met when we were taking a life coaching course to get our certifications way back, I think in 2019. Let's welcome her to the program. Welcome, Mariska. Hello.
Hello, and thank you for having me here and back and always. It's so good.
It's fantastic. So how did I do with the time element in Australia, New Zealand? Is it only those two countries? Is it China too? I don't know.
We do have, I think China is more or less our time zone, Malaysia, Japan. There's a few more at the top, which I can't always remember all of them. But yes, in general, Australia, New Zealand, and Australia also have multiple time zones, a little bit like the US.
3, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, you can fit the US into Australia, I think.
Wow.
It's big. It is really big. I saw a little meme the other day. Somebody said something about, well, Texas being the biggest state, you take a couple of hours to go from one point to the other point. And then they said, well, and meantime, in Australia, in West Australia, it takes you a day and 11 hours, shortest route to go from one point of that state to another point of that state. So it's big.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's big, definitely, for sure. So right now here in the US on the East Coast, it is 7:04 p.m. What time is it there?
It is 9:04 a.m. And yes, I am in the future. I am on Friday. Very close to holidays. Oh, well, not holidays, but weekend. Whereas you guys are still sitting in Thursday.
And notice how I'm dressed, right? It's warm here. It's like 90 degrees. What is it there? It's winter.
It is winter. I started my morning with a nice chilly 2 today. And in saying that, I am at the bottom of Australia. So because the country is so big, the top of Australia is getting more mild temperatures. So they are going into springy temperatures. And they're already seeing mid-20s and even higher than that. So yeah, we have a wide range, but I'm still in winter.
Well, you look so happy. You look like you're in summer, so you're always smiling. And by the way, we want to say hello to our friends at E360 TV. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. And by the way, they're on Pacific Coast time, so they're actually 3 hours before me. So it's 4 something in the afternoon there at E360 TV. So our topic today is reviewing 2025 so far. What are you celebrating? And I'm glad you came up with this topic. I think it's a good one. Oh, look at, she's dancing there. I love it. But before we get into the topic, I'd love to have you introduce yourself. I talked a little bit about your coaching, but your coaching background is so much more extensive and it continues to expand. Can you let people know, what does it mean to have the certifications that you have? What was involved there?
Oh, there were so many things and hoops to jump through and things to do. So coaching, for those of you that's not in the industry, it is an unregulated industry at the moment. So what you do want to do is you want to make sure that you have a coach with at least some form of official credentialing from one of the certification bodies. Now, ICF is one of them. That's one of the big ones, especially in the US and Australia and New Zealand. Then there's another one that's more prominent in the European countries. I think it's Mentors and Coaches International or something like that. I cannot remember their name, sorry. So what it involves to actually become a ICF certified coach, we have 3 different levels. So you have your ACC coaching. So an ICC coach typically will have at least 100 hours of coaching experience. So they have had to coach 100 hours within their space, physically coaching different clients. They will have a whole bunch of training that goes with that as well. And they also have a whole bunch of mentoring that goes with that. Now, it doesn't mean that they only have the 100 hours. That's the minimum requirement. Then when you move on to PCC, you find that your coach will have had a minimum of 500 coaching hours with a variety of different clients, as well as even more training within that space. There's specific tests that we also need to sit through, very long ones. They're about 3 hours. Yeah, it's a bit like going to school. And then we also have mentoring that we do within that space. And then the last one, the top tier that we have, is MCC, which I'm hoping to do very, very soon. My background is doing weird things. Sorry about that. So with MCC coaching, you have a minimum of 2,500 hours. Yeah, that is just getting your head around speaking to people so that you can accumulate 2,500 hours or more, right? When you are MCC certified, you also, again, have a different type of test that you do, as well as some further educational pieces. And then within the ICF space, we also have team coaching. So for team coaching, you need to be at least certified as a coach already. So you have to have one of those previously mentioned certifications. And then you also need to do your team coaching certification, which involves working with teams, as well as some training around that, and then supervision within that space. So there's a lot involved when you think about getting your credentialing within that space. And that's why it's really important when you go out to look for a coach to get somebody that has some form of accreditation behind them. because this is a industry that we do not have regulations, anybody can basically call themselves a coach, which is a little bit unfortunate, because you also have people that doesn't necessarily abide by a specific code of ethics. So within the ICF, there's also specific codes of ethics that we abide by to make sure that we treat those that we work with to a certain level, and we make sure that everybody is well taken care of within that space. We also don't do certain things. For instance, we will not do any therapeutic or trauma type of counseling or therapy, because that's not within the coaching space, and you need specific training for that. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what this credentialing means.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I understand from what someone told me, there are over 6 million coaches on LinkedIn, people who have a designation as a coach. And as to what their credentialing is, no one knows. But it also is a segue into something else, another topic, and I'd love to discuss this with you. So when we're looking at reviewing 2025 so far, what are you celebrating? This isn't the celebration piece. This is just the review piece. So I have a doctorate. It's a DBA, doctorate in business administration. It took me 6 years and $125,000. And I was going for my doctorate while I worked full time. And I actually had a part-time job at the same time. So it was quite a lot. And for my full-time job, I was traveling because I sold meetings and events. And so after the day with the clients and the staff, I would go to my hotel room and I'd have to do my homework and work on my dissertation. So the reason I bring it up is there is a profound increase, it seems, in people who are doctors but don't have a doctorate. So they are honorary doctors. Someone decided to bestow upon them the title of doctor. And so there are people who are coaches, but they didn't go through the strict education. Listen, I took one course for coaching and that was it. So there's no way I could ever compare myself as a coach to you, because I haven't done that work like you have in that area. So when I hear someone say, I'm doctor, what's your doctorate in? It's honorary. I don't know. What are your thoughts about people with honorary doctorates? Without judgment. We're not judging. We're just...
To me, and I have not done the doctorate. I did, however, do my master's. There's a lot that goes into it. And I think the learning that you get from it, from going through the process itself, right? Having an honorary doctorate, yes, okay, fine. Maybe you have very wide knowledge about a specific area. I don't know. How do they typically determine when a person gets an honorary doctorate? I don't know what the process is. I'm hoping that there is a process. I honestly, I have no idea if there's a process. So if there's somebody out there that can enlighten us and tell us what the process is and how that works, that would be wonderful. It gives us a more educated way of discussing said topic. From my experience, though, I know that going through the process, and I've also, while I was busy with my master's and my study piece within that, the research that I did, I didn't co-do it with somebody else, but we sort of helped each other out. So I have another friend that did her doctorate at that point in time. So she would review some of her things with me, and I would review some of my things with her, and we will brainstorm a little bit about what we are seeing and the patterns and all the rest of it. It was quite fun because the doctorate, I know, Dr. Jacalyn, when you did it, I'm taking it you most probably didn't collaborate with somebody. It can be lonely, right?
It's definitely lonely. And when you think that you're just starting the journey and then you've got to do this, that, and the other, and committee members change. And I think I shared with you, by the way, did you notice how I blend into the wall? What is up with that? I'm the same color as the paint on the wall. That's fun. When I was doing my doctoral dissertation, it ended up right before I went to do my oral defense of the dissertation, that my mentor, the head of the committee, he died in a tragic car accident, and devastating. And then I had to kind of start over again with the oral defense of the dissertation, because they have to appoint another committee member. And obviously I was so sad about what happened to my mentor, but yeah, it's full on. It's full on. And actually, after I graduated, which was 20, my things over there, my certificate, 2011. Can you imagine? So long ago. I thought about going for a PhD because I have a DBA, and I signed up. I started going for this PhD, and I was in it for about 3 months. Like, no, 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 and no. I just can't. I can't. It's too much. It's just too much. You got to start living at some point. But by the way, to what you were saying, I want to go back to you. You were saying about a master's degree, and I don't really ever recall people saying that they have an honorary master's degree. Do you?
No, I don't think you can get an honorary master's degree.
So what's the difference? Like, who decided? I don't understand this.
That's why I'm saying I would love to actually, how that works. How do they decide? What's the criteria for it? Does different universities have different criteria? Do they all have the same criteria? I have no idea. So my general thinking around this, right? Just the logical piece of me, the way I would reason it is, when you have a doctorate or even a master's, typically if you did your research paper, you will build on knowledge already existing.
Yes.
So if you have an honorary, right, have you then built on already existing ideas or research or grown the field somehow in some shape or form? I honestly, I have no idea. This is a fascinating question. I am now wondering how this works.
Not because I want one. This.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's last comment for me, then we'll go to you, and then we'll go back to the topic. But I know of, from looking on the news, there are A-list celebrities that are invited to speak at graduations, and they're given honorary doctorates. And I'm thinking, the guy's a comedian. Like, what did the guy do to get the doctorate? So I always, I'm a fan of the human, right? I want people to succeed and excel, and we're all about collaboration. I just was wondering, how does one person go to school for 6 years and another person shows up and does a speech and gets paid for it, most likely, and they get a degree that they didn't do any work on? It doesn't make sense to me.
I honestly have no idea. I don't know. That. It would be really good to know what the criteria is for that, and not to say, well, they don't deserve it, because to be a comedian, and I have not looked into being a comedian.
You're very funny.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. But the just having the practices and understanding how it works. Not sure whether there is something like comedian school or getting a master's in being a comedian. Might be a course addition that we need to put into the leadership training, because man, some leaders can be extremely dry. It would be so good for them to get a bit of comedy injected in there. So I don't know. It might be that it's just not seen as a topic within a university space. And that also, it makes me wonder, Dr. Jacalyn, with everything that's changing, right? I mean, these days we have everybody and its dog is literally talking about AI, which I now want to go, la, 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 la. I don't, and it gets a bit much. And I'm wondering, so what is it then that the education system needs to do? Because the education system, technically speaking, the one that we have at the moment, is extremely old. It has grown up and aged for a very, 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 very long time, and might need some reviving of some sort. And maybe that's where honoraries comes in. I don't know.
Well,
I
our current
really don't.
administration is overhauling the entire education department. So we'll see where that goes. And to your earlier point, I think what you're talking about is bringing improv into schools or leadership. One of our team members, Keith Saltoyanis, he founded an improv school in LA. It's very famous. And he's also been on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He helps people learn how to do stand-up and improv so that they can bring it into whatever their work is. And I think that's phenomenal. And you and I could take it online. I'd really like to take it in person, but you can take it online and you can actually learn and how to incorporate those skills. Because to your point, if you are a leader and you're very stoic and dry, you talk in a monotone voice, people are going to be bored. Look how you were like, oh, you heard that. You're like, no, please. So there's something to be said for that, I think.
I think so too. And part of being, well, when I think about leaders in general, it is really about how we are helping to not only influence, but take people with us on the journey, to that destination that we have the vision of and they can't see yet, right? And how do we take people along with us if they want to fall asleep? I don't know about you, but I don't want to be dragging them.
Come on, No, I agree. Great points. We are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Mariska, I want you to be ready to talk about what you are celebrating in 2025. Ooh. So our commercial break today is very selfishly about my new book. And it's about Lady Ella. You know all about Lady Ella because you wrote some of the Lady Ella books with me. We even co-wrote with Dr. Chan a song in the second Lady Ella book. I think it was called The ABCs of the School. I don't know, ABCs of Listening.
Yeah.
At the School of Joy. Well, Lady Ella now has a brother, and his name is Lord Jack, and they are on their first kindness adventure in this next book, which is coming out. I think it's July 29th. So let's take a look, and then we'll be back. Stay tuned.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she's not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, this 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
Welcome back to A Woman's Prerogative, Sisterhood Across Borders. It's lovely to have you here. By the way, quick plug, this is the first Lady Ella book, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. And all the animals that are seen here are actual real people who are featured in the back of our book. For example, Sonia Moldina, she's in London, and this was her character. So very cool. All right, let's welcome back the star of our show, Mariska du Preez, and our topic is reviewing 2025 so far. What are you celebrating? Hello, welcome. All right,
Hello.
What's up with you? What are you celebrating?
Oh, what am I celebrating? So at the beginning of the show, we mentioned the ICF credentials, and I mentioned team coaching. So what I am celebrating is I have gotten my team coaching credentialing underway. I've done all the training that I need to be doing to get me a little bit closer to that. So I'm celebrating that because it was a long piece of work. And then the next piece that I am now busy embarking on is basically getting all my team coaching done. So engaging with different teams and coaching different teams. So I'm having loads of fun in that space. So yes, I am not finished with it yet, and yet I am celebrating it. So this is so good, really enjoying it. The other thing that I'm celebrating is, let me see, well, other than the fact that we are in the middle of this year, it's, hey, why can't we just celebrate that it is July? That's good, right? It's the middle of the year. We get to look back. We get to look at all the things that we have achieved so far. So I don't know about you guys, but I have moved last year. Round about this time, I was packing boxes. So one of the things that I'm celebrating is the fact that I am out of all of my boxes and I have fully moved into my new space. And that is good. It is relaxing. I can also say with a lot of confidence that it has been a year. So I have had loads of ups and downs and very interesting things that happened in between. And I am enjoying the fact that it is July. So I don't know why not celebrate just the fact that it's July. And for everybody on the Northern Hemisphere, you guys have summer, so you can celebrate summer, whereas I am having winter and I can celebrate that. Other things that I'm celebrating, I'm trying to think whether there is anything specific that's popping up. Not at the moment, Dr. Jacalyn, that I can think of. And I know that when I ask you, there's most probably going to be something that triggers for me. So, Dr. Jacalyn, what are you celebrating?
Well, I love what you just described. I'm always celebrating that I'm here for another day. And I think I mentioned this before. My mother used to say, I'm just grateful to be here another day. And I would say, Mom, that's such like a low foundation to go from. But now I get it. I get it. It's actually a gift to be here every day. And I'm celebrating the fact that after the spin class I took tonight, I can still hear, because the instructor said, and he looked at me, by the way, I guess because I was older than everyone by decades, that you may want to get earplugs. Like I could not believe how loud the music was. And I specifically wasn't in front of the speaker. I moved and I was like, so I'm really grateful that I can still hear. I'm not minimizing that because my mom lost her hearing. But I think what I'm most grateful for after, obviously still being here is that from a business perspective, I feel like we are going in a really good direction. And I have a lot of travel coming up. And it's a little bit, I don't want to say scary because it's not a good word, but, it's a lot of money to travel. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. You get out of your routines. You don't know exactly where it's going to go, but I'm going with my intuition. And so I feel like we've started this country and state partner program to help onboard new television hosts in different parts of the world and bring in different languages. We currently have German and French. And we even have a German and French intro, and we have a Polish sponsorship video. So if we have a German page on our website, usaglobaltv.com. So I'm really happy about all of that. I'm celebrating that. And I think I'm training for an indoor marathon. And today I went to solid core and then I went to the spin class, and the teacher said afterwards, you really crushed it. I was like, yes, 62-year-old crushing. So I'm really grateful for that. The last piece that I have is to get into the pool, and I've got my swimsuit. I have not had a swimsuit for years. I know how to swim. I was a good swimmer, but I've been swimming for years because of my skin. I have eczema and my hair is colored. I got long nails, like all not good for chlorine situations. But I got a swimsuit. I got the goggles and I got the bathing cap. And so this weekend, I'm going to get into the pool and see what the old lady can do.
Ooh. Well, I'm thinking that you will be surprising yourself and everybody else.
Well, we'll see. In truth, on Saturday last weekend, I met a woman who was a guest on our show. She's a celebrity chef, and she's from Australia. but I actually met her in London, and then she was in Philadelphia. So I met her. So I thought we were meeting for lunch. And as it turns out, we were walking very far miles in the city, and I didn't have on the appropriate shoes. So not to be gross, everyone, but I have this giant blood blister, and I don't think I should get in the pool with it. So I'm waiting till it's completely healed.
That sounds wise.
Yeah. So you talked about what you've accomplished, what you're celebrating. And again, for people who don't know, in order to get the certifications that you have, that takes an incredible amount of dedication. And I imagine you've had to say not now to some opportunities that have come your way. Can you talk about making that decision and how you prioritize?
It's interesting. I had a similar discussion with a client the other day, where we went through so I really want to say yes to this opportunity, but is it in alignment? And I think that is the question I ask myself is this in alignment? What is it that I'm working towards? What is it that I want to be achieving or creating within my space? So normally for me, I try to really evaluate whether this is something that would be meaningful for me within what I want to be creating and where I am moving towards. Now, does it change? Yes, of course it does, because we are humans and we learn as we grow and as we change and as we age. Hopefully we learn. I don't know, some people don't. But for me, it's really around, is this in alignment? Because one of the big things is when we say yes, we automatically say no to a whole bunch of stuff. And if we say yes to things that's not in alignment with what we are creating, what we want to be doing, how we are living, then it means that the things that we fill our life with isn't necessarily the things that we want to have in our life. And then we end up going, oh, I'm so miserable. I feel horrible. I'm doing all these things and none of them gives me any joy. And I wonder why. Well, part of it is because I said yes to it and maybe it was not in alignment. Or it might be that I said yes to it at one stage and I never reviewed it to go and have a look at, is it still in alignment? Is it still what I want to be doing? Because a little bit like our closets, we need to go through the closet every now and again and just see what is in there that actually I haven't worn this for years. I'm not planning on wearing it ever again. It was maybe a fashion trendy thing that I bought at some thrift shop at some point, or a store where you get very cheap fashion wear. Throw it out. It's literally taking up space for no good reason. And I'm not saying throw it on the rubbish heap. We can recycle it into a different place for a different person that might have use for it. Whereas it is not for us. It is not in our space. And that goes the same for anything else that we think of in life. So to give you an idea, the training that I spoke about that I did for team coaching, that took about, Dr. Jacalyn, I think it was almost a year worth of training. It had a bit of a break in between, but in total, it was about a year's worth of training and fairly intensive training. So when we did the training, there's loads and loads of reading and video material that we had to go through. There's also practicums that we had to do. There was other like classes and stuff that you needed to attend. So that was pretty much part-time studying, full-time for a year. Just for this one piece of certification. So it is a lot. And if I do all of that, then it means that there's other things that I won't be able to do. And taking that into consideration and seeing how it is that I build it into my life. So one of the things that I am moving towards and want to be doing is I want to get to my MCC qualification within the coaching space itself. So that's something that I'm working towards, which means I need to get all of my coaching hours, very, very close with that. I need to make sure that my training is in order for that. I need to make sure that my mentoring and my supervision is in order for that. My own growth is in order for that. And then there's a lot of practice that also goes into it, because we need to submit videos and all sorts of other things. So because I'm busy with all of that, it also means that there's other things that I might not be doing. I might not be going on holidays as often. I try to, at the moment, not travel that much. So again, there's things that I need to say no to. And Dr. Jacalyn, so what I'm wondering is, you mentioned travel, which I am so envying you for that at the moment. I love travel. Not always the airports, but the travel. That's good. So what is it that you are having to most probably say no to, because you are saying yes to the travel and the growing?
Well, thank you for asking that. And thanks for sharing about the MCC. That's amazing. That's like a major commitment. I remember Mariana Leeds. She's a master coach certification.
Mm-hmm.
That's big time. So go for it, girl. So I think with the traveling, I'm saying no to some personal invitations that I've received to do some different things. And of course, here on the East Coast, it's the summer. So I'm basically saying no to any beach time or any relaxation time. And I think I shared this last week that as part of the Census Bureau, they ask all these questions so they can do a study about the population. And so we calculated that I work 91 hours a week. So between the 91 hours a week and working out between 2 and 3 hours every day, and then getting 8 hours of sleep, there's really nothing left. So basically what I've said no to is socializing, unless there's some element of it that incorporates business. So in other words, it's I have a lunch tomorrow with 2 wonderful people, and we'll be talking about business. So even though they're friends, we're doing business together. So I would say that's pretty much what I've said no to, is social events and socializing. For many, many people I know, they're retired, and their biggest decision is, what are we going to eat? What are we going to do today? And my days are completely, the minute I get up, I can't wait to go to the computer and start working, because I'm always coming up with ideas and I love providing education. And as an example, I'm actually going to be doing a quick video right after this. I have experienced so much judgment in the world that I already created a course about understanding the impact of judgment. And now I feel really called to actually make an announcement about teaching the course, because I haven't set anything up to teach it live. But I feel that people in general are constantly judging us. Like right now, somebody might be watching going, why is she wearing that crown? Why are her nails so long? Like, people do that. They look and they just make a judgment, but they never actually think before making the judgment, why don't I just embrace the person as they are? And I'll give an example. The other day when I was in Philadelphia, I saw, I guess it was a woman in a very large yellow outfit that appeared, it was like, it seemed to be much bigger than for her frame. And she had, I think, gray and black and blue hair, and she had on these giant platform shoes, and people were walking by and making comments and taking photos. And I just thought to myself, wow, this person's expressing themselves. I don't know what they're expressing because I don't know them, but they're doing them. They're being them. Whereas other people, they just walk by and yell things and they're mean. And you wonder, why do people go down that path? And I think typically it's because they are afraid, or they don't understand, or they don't want to take the time to think about somebody is wearing different shoes than I'm wearing, and let's meet them where they are.
Yeah. I am so excited to hear that you are finally putting your judgment curriculum out there. So
Yeah.
that's good news. Yay.
Because, you know, it falls under listening. If you're judging someone, you're no longer listening. And case in point, just a very quick story. I won't mention any names, but someone was lecturing me about something had to do with religion. And I just listened to what they had to say. And then I said what my upbringing was and how I ended up being where I am. And the person never acknowledged anything I said. They just immediately kept going back to preaching what they believed in. And then when they finished talking, I said, I heard what you said. I understand. I have an open heart and an open mind. I'd really like you to acknowledge what I said. And they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. And so because I'm trained, I don't take it emotionally. But in another case, that could be a deal breaker for someone where they would say, you know what, I'm not going to be friends with you because you won't even acknowledge that I'm here.
Yeah. And I think for me, the judgment pieces, when we think about judgment, so we can judge ourselves, we can judge another human being, or we might judge a situation. And in all those cases, it comes from a place that's not necessarily generative. Because if we were in a space where we are generative, we will see the opportunities of having differences in life, because that's all it is. It's something that's different. Now, if all the flowers looked exactly the same, just imagine how boring it would be. Or we were all gray blobs. Might make life a little bit easier for some people, but I mean, that would just take the spice out of life. So judging is, to me, I sometimes wonder why we do it. I'm not saying that I am immune to it. It's still a thing that happens for us as human beings. And normally when I catch myself doing it, it is more so because of, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, a fear that I have, or something that I feel bad about myself. So now I'm judging other people because of it, or something that I look at and I think, how is this even possible for this human being to do it that way, or this situation to work this way? And when I reframe it, it looks different. And when it looks different, I can be a lot more accepting of it. So for me, if a judgment shows up, it's really that I haven't accepted something yet. And it is a yet, because then I start to look at what is it that I need to, well, create more space for. Because by creating this space, I am not saying that I necessarily agree with it. What I am saying is that both of them can exist at the same time. And I can still choose which one I would prefer in my life. It's a little bit like the conversation we had earlier on about the yeses and the nos. I can choose what I want in my life. It doesn't mean that the thing that I didn't choose has less value or should not exist. It can still exist while I also do whatever the thing is that I want to be doing. So for me, judgment has changed a little in how I think about it. And unfortunately, everybody doesn't do the same thing. And the other thing that I have noticed, as mentioned with AI a little bit earlier on, our wonderful electronic space, because of some anonymity that people may be feeling, they lose their humanness in the process, which I feel really sad about. Because, well, that's all we have. That's what we came in as, humans. So use it and be a full human all the time and bring your humanity into life. That's what makes it beautiful. So, yes, that's my thoughts on judgment in general.
Very profound. Thank you. I appreciate it. You could teach the course with me.
Thank you.
You are most welcome. Well, we're coming to the latter part of our show. As you know, we're on E360, so we're with certain time limits. And I just would like to know, what would you like to share as a last yay, hooray for celebrating, and maybe something that you want to be celebrating at the end of the year?
What I would love to be celebrating at the end of this year. That is actually a good question. I haven't thought about that. What would I like to celebrate at the end of the year? Well, I want to also ask our viewers, what would you like to celebrate at the end of this year? So the 31st of December, other than the fact that the year's finished, right? What else do you want to be celebrating? What is the one thing that between now and then you want to make happen? And I think for me, the one thing that I want to make happen is currently I am busy with a leader as coach training program with the organization that I'm working with. And we will be implementing that towards September-ish. So I want to be celebrating that very first cohort that went through it with us, all the learnings that we've gained. And I also want to be a little bit closer, and I'm making this much closer, not just a little bit. I want to be a little bit closer to my MCC qualification as well. So towards the end of this year, I want to see whether I can actually in 2026 make that part of the reality that I bring into my life. So that's the things that I want to be celebrating at the end of this year. And Dr. Jacalyn, how about you?
I appreciate what you just shared. Thank you. That sounds very exciting. Philip Sykes and I from the British School of Excellence, we are hosting a retreat in September in Lambertville, New Jersey. So I want to be celebrating that that's successful. I want to be celebrating that my upcoming business trip to London and Dubai is successful. And I'm also speaking a couple of times as a peace ambassador at peace conferences. So I want to make sure that that's peaceful and that resonates with some people. And also, the Lady Ella book is coming out, as I mentioned, in a little while. And I have spent literally 15, 20 hours sometimes promoting my books before they come out so that they can get to as many eyeballs as possible to be a #1 new release or a #1 bestseller. And it is exhausting, but I'm very gold star oriented, as you know. So I'll be looking forward to see if this streak continues. And I think other than that, I'm on the board of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation again. They brought me back. I had taken a reprieve after my mother died. So I'm doing a walk for Guts and Glory is the name of the walk, and I'm raising money. So far, I haven't done a great job raising money, but I'm going to keep pushing at it. The walk is August the 10th, and it's in Ocean City, New Jersey. So I hope that we make a lot of money for the foundation and that they can continue to look at treatment alternatives for other people. And I just had a call yesterday about getting involved in patient advocacy for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation with teaching listening courses, especially for caregivers who are feeling completely consumed and overwhelmed. It's a very hard thing to do, to be a caregiver. So hopefully the patient advocacy for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation will come to fruition soon, and I'll be able to start helping people in that way.
Oh, that's exciting.
And the indoor triathlon, I forgot about that. That's September 7th, I think. So I got to get up there swimming. I suspect I'll be cutting these claws back. I don't think they're going to be helping me for the water.
Yeah, I'm suspecting that there might be a little bit added resistance there in the water.
I think so. I don't know if you can wear gloves or not, but I see we're at the time. Okay, it's got to be less than 50 minutes. So we have to say goodbye, and we're not going to run any sponsorships. We're just going to go right to the outro. But how can people reach you, and who would you like to contact you?
Okay, you can reach me either via my email, which is Mariska, Mariska, at journey2discover.com, or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn And this is for any leaders or potential leaders. If you're thinking about stepping into leadership, or you are already a leader and you are stepping up in your leadership space, you are more than welcome to reach out to me.
Thank you. Wow, that was so fast. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. And for me, if you're interested in being a TV show host here on our platform, we are actually interviewing people. We now have an entire team of people across the world who are looking to onboard people as new TV talk show hosts. And the reason being, we want as many people as possible across the world to be able to share their story. We train you, we produce it for you, we do social media marketing, and we do search engine optimization. So it's an all-in-one inclusive package. So please do reach out. Mariska, I look forward to seeing you again very soon next week. And goodbye to everyone. And thank you to E360. Sorry that we ran over. See you later. Bye.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives, one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.